Hello everyone, I am Richard and today I'm going to be reviewing Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I'm going to start with the spoiler-free review, then I'm going to go into a spoiler-filled review. This book is a lit RPG book. If you don't know what that is, it basically means the story uses a lot of RPG elements, role-playing game elements in it. This book and I guess the magic system inside it really feels like a video game that you're watching or reading in this case. I also need to say, Mom, don't read this book. It is a very crass book, a very vulgar book, but that makes it really realistic because of what's happening inside of it. However, this book does put me back in the mindset of like a high school or college student, and so all of the crass vulgarity in it I found a lot of times hilarious and actually entertaining. It's really good at that. It just puts you in the mindset to be able to enjoy what it's giving you. And what exactly is this book giving you? So quick elevator pitch on this book. Essentially, it's set in the real world, in our world, in Seattle specifically, and aliens come and kill most of humanity. The survivors are given a choice. They can either go underground and go into a dungeon, and the entire underground of the planet has been reshaped by the aliens to make this dungeon. And so you can go down and fight, or you cannot. Carl, our titular character, decides to go underground and fight monsters and things that he comes across, and he finds that he can level up like he's a character in a video game, and pretty much anything he does and practices a lot will gain levels and he'll become more skilled at. If you're not super familiar with video game kind of mechanics, it might be a little confusing for you, but the main focus of this book really is the characters and the action. So if you're an action lover or if you're a character-driven reader, you will probably enjoy this book. My main criticism of this book is that it feels like a lot of setup. It just teases all these things that seem so interesting. I'm like, oh, I wish it would go more into that. But it doesn't really explore them at all much in this book. I'll also say the final boss fight was kind of anticlimactic. I almost forgot to mention in this part, but the main character's companion is a talking cat. And it behaves how you would think an intelligent talking cat would behave, and it's hilarious. To me, my enjoyment of this book was really, really great. I blitzed through it in like 6 days, under a week, which I really don't read crazy fast, so that's pretty quick for me. So I'm giving this book a 4 out of 5. I loved it, but I will say it's very action heavy. If you're not a fan of action, probably not the best book for you, but I love this book. Now I'm going to jump into the spoiler part of my review, so if you haven't read it yet, please stop watching and go read the book. It's really, really good. Now I want to jump into the plot negative of this book because I like talking about what I don't like first. First thing is that, again, there's just so many things teased that I want to know more about. And maybe I'm just being stubborn and being like, I want to know it now, because it did get me to read the book really quickly, but things like Mordecai's history, what happened with his brother, why does he hate Odette, why is he so angry at Odette? Like, I want to know that stuff, and this book, I don't hate that it's teasing me with stuff, but everything was teased. Nothing was really resolved at all, so it kind of left me frustrated when I finished reading it because I was hoping for more of an explanation. The other thing is, what's the deal with the party of the Kuatin, right? I love the little fish people, but they seem entertaining. But what is the party? They're described as kind of imperialist Japan, kind of Nazi Germany, but the way they behave makes me think more of communist China. So I'm just, what are they? What is their goal? What's the greater scheme in the universe? Also, the company that's running the current dungeon games, why do they need money? Why are they almost bankrupt? It says they're almost bankrupt, but we really don't get why. Just everything is just kind of unresolved. It's frustrating. I also mentioned the final boss fight with the hamster was really unsatisfying. It's just like, I think Carl hit him like 3 times and he died. And then, you know, they get a pet and they're just kind of meandering, and then they just go down a floor and it ends. And the falling action was just kind of too long for me, and there was no real climax at the end. I felt like the climax was fighting the Rage Elemental, which was awesome, right? But then it just there were things where I thought there was going to be like a real ending of the book climax, and there wasn't. It just kind of ended. It reminded me of I'm not going to say which book it is, but one of the Witcher books, which I love the Witcher series. It just kind of ends, and there's no big whoosh. Just kind of ends with, ooh, there will be more exciting things in the future, but nothing at the end of the book was exciting, really. Though I love those books. But yeah, the ending was real kind of meh for me. My last kind of problem with the book is that it was really action heavy, and I was always waiting for the parts where they'd talk to Mordecai or have another show with Odette or be with their, you know, PR agent. Like, that stuff was entertaining to me. The conversations between Princess Donut and Carl were hilarious. I loved all that. I love the action too. I really enjoy action, and it's one of the reasons why I blitzed through this book so quickly. But there was a lot of it, and it just kind of felt like we're just having more action for there to be more action at some point. Now on to the things I liked about the book. First of all being the other boss fights, excluding the last one. They were amazing, especially the Burrow boss fight and the very first boss fight. Also, the fact that Carl was just like, yeah, I'm not going to fight these, I'm just going to try to push a bomb into the room at the beginning. And it worked for the first two mostly. Like, it was incredible, it was awesome. And then the one time he just decides, you know what, I actually need to learn how to fight, so let's not blow up the boss room this time. Like, it is great, it's great. I will mention the final boss fight again here, because even though I hated how boring the fight was, the fact that it had the mechanics of Carl going and feeding all the dingoes and making their, you know, demeanor more neutral to him, great. I love that part of it. I just wish the fight was still challenging despite that. But I love that part of it. I love the fact that he has to think, you know, before going into the fights. And that Mordecai even told him, you know, there are clues about the fights outside of the fight. So look at those and try to figure things out. The best fight for me was the Ball of Swine fight. It was awesome. The 7 or 6+1, the Ball of Swine, where they just kind of MacGyvered the tables together to make the swine ball get stuck on the ceiling so that it would explode, and then they were able to, you know, defeat the weird erotic pig people, orcs. That was kind of gross. Unsettling. But the fight, the strategy, the planning, the Carl giving the advice to the other group of people, it was awesome. Speaking of Carl's awesome strategies, the way he figured out to finish off or survive the Rage Elemental, making the Moab, putting it on the chopper, you know, exploiting the mechanics of the dungeon, the teleport away of the Rage Elemental, then the fact that it would die when it slid down into the stairs, just, oh, I loved it. That's probably, that whole sequence is probably my favorite part. The death of the nurse, I believe her name was Yolanda, and then he has that whole introspective moment of, like, she was an amazing woman, she worked so hard in this crazy world where most of the Earth's population died. She's still trying to help these old folks who, you know, half of them have dementia. If I had a mother like her, I would have actually had a good relationship with my mother. I wish my mother was like her, and then she just dies. Like the pause and that, you know, half page of explanation. Oh, it's so good. And then she's just gone like that. The fact that, you know, she killed people just to put them out of their misery so they wouldn't die terribly in this underground dungeon. And then he completely deleted the rage elemental. And then next up, they like, the devs of the dungeon, they patch out that exploit so that non-sentient creatures can't die from that same situation. Hilarious and epic and heart-wrenching. It kind of reminded me of Scrubs, if you've seen the show Scrubs, because 2 minutes or 1 minute you'll be crying, and then the next scene you'll be laughing your butt off. Like that kind of writing. It's really, really good. Then we have the TV shows. I love how Princess Donut was instantly like, is it live or taped? Okay. Is it more serious, or are we playing it up? Like, how should I act? And she's just full on, you know, pageantry cat mode. And they even like secretly feed her some biscuit that raises her wisdom a couple of points, right? And then you get Odette's appearance, the crab with the very buxom front, and then the insect head, like just absolute ridiculousness. That's part of what I was saying at the beginning of my review of the crassness, vulgarity of it, but it just gets you into the book when you're reading it. Ugh. God, Mom, don't read this book. Then they go on the Death Watch show, and they have the whole Death Watch sequence at the beginning, and I liked how clever it was that Carl was able to, you know, send the group of, I think they were Chinese crawlers back to their friends and gave them advice on how they could all survive, and they all do survive, right? That was great. But then they end up meeting Frank Q and his wife, and they see the whole story of how they're actually with their daughter, and then they had to kill her afterwards because of the trap that Carl set for them. My first thing is, though, why was the daughter not in their party, right? Because when Carl and Donut first encounter Frank Q eats a donut, and he gets the XP number, which is the same as a two-party, you know, XP, right? Because it's supposed to be 10,000 XP, but when Carl ate it, it was 9,800 because Donut got 200 and vice versa for them. And same with Frank Q, he got 9,800. Why was the daughter not in their party? There's definitely more to that story, right? And even the mom says that they didn't show everything, that you don't know everything. And you know, I definitely believe that because the host of the show was literally a swine. Literally, like, disgusting, gross, orc, you know, royalty piece of garbage. Like, terrible guy. So I really want to know more about that whole storyline. Then you have the whole, like, afterwards, the deep fake video with Carl and the host of the Death Watch show. Wow, just okay. That happened in this book. This book did that thing. It was, ugh. But good Lord, again, this was kind of my face reaction while reading it. It's just like, what is happening? Like, what is this book and why am I enjoying it? That was my whole theme of this book. I would say, what is this book and why can't I stop reading it? Just, what is it? Now I'm going to talk about characters really quick because the characters, they don't spend a lot of time on, but they go really deep and really, not really deep, but they tease the deepness. The deepness is teased. It's teased again. And again, I just want to know more. Mordecai, what's it do with his brother? What's it do with him and Odette? Again, with Zev. I love Zev's relationship with Princess Donut. Zev's like, yeah, most of the other Tuakin, most of the other fish people, I forget what they're called exactly, just, you know, watched I Love Lucy and that's it. And her and Donut are talking about, you know, Gossip Girl and Riverdale, and they're crying about, you know, something that happened in season 5. They're like, oh, stop it. And they're like, wow, adventuring. They're like chatting. They're like 13-year-old girls on an internet chat talking about, you know, hot idols. That's the kind of feeling vibe I get, and it's so entertaining, and I love it. And it's just, oh, why do I like this book so much? It's so fun. Then on to Carl. You know, he's ex-military, and he's been with this girl who we found out just cheated on him, and throughout the book, Donut slowly reveals that she's cheated on him a lot, with a lot of different guys and at least one girl. Like, she does not care about him at all, and the whole time, you know, Carl is thinking, you know, like, yeah, Beatrix was gonna get rid of Princess Donut, but I can't tell her that kind of thing. Meanwhile, Princess Donut's just very naive and kind of thinking, oh, I'm sure we'll meet B on, you know, level 5 or 6. And then him and Mordecai Shirley like, I don't think she's gonna be alive, bud. And she's probably dead. I think she probably will be alive, though. Just my guess. The book, the future books have her at some point. I have no idea. But I'm thinking that'd be interesting, and then, you know, it's a choice. Do I go with B or do I stay with Carl? And I'm guessing that, you know, Donut will stay with Carl. But that's just speculation. I do love how Carl just thinks, you will not break me. And he never says it out loud. He's so, God damn it, Donut, because people enjoy it and they like it. But if he says, you will not break me out loud, people will donate and try to break him. So he doesn't do it, because the whole point of this is to make money and to be entertaining. Okay, that is it for my review of Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's not really a thought-provoking book, you know, but it is super entertaining. I can't wait to read the next one. I have like 4 or 5 other books, though, I want to read before I buy any more, because I bought a bunch of books I got a bunch of books for my birthday, and I want to get through all of them still. But anyway, thank you for watching. Down below, please tell me what your favorite part of this book is. Tell me who your favorite character is, and what you think Carl's class choice will be. I'm very curious. I don't think it's going to be monk, because they mentioned that in this book, and I don't think it would be that on the nose of choosing monk. But I am curious what you guys think it will be. No spoilers if you've read ahead. Thank you for watching. Leave a like. Bye-bye.